Highland Bank meeting for March 25th, 2015, call order. Roll call, please.
Henry Champion,
Present.
Melanie Wimbley,
Present.
Ray Cruz, Scott Morris,
Here.
Dave Richard,
Commissioner Richard is out of town and won't be able to make the meeting today.
Bill Powell,
Commissioner Powell also was unavailable this afternoon.
Wait. I'm out of town. I'm able to make the meeting.
I make no excuses other than what I was told.
You like the money. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the last second meeting?
So moved.
Yes, minutes for the last meeting. Roll call.
Henry Champion,
Yay.
Melanie Wimbley,
Yes.
Ray Cruz,
Yes.
Scott Morris,
Yes.
Minutes been approved. Public comments. Ms. Ivory, we're done with, she here?
No,
Yes.
I didn't see you, I'm sorry.
We're done
I didn't see
with
you, it's my
the-
fault, I'm sorry.
3 minutes, please.
Yeah. Okay, the reason I come here, it was the issues with, old Second Bank. And my understanding, they's doing a lot of messing up when it comes to us paying our rents there. And I feel like that if they messing up when we pay our rent, why is the tenants being held accountable for their mistakes?
Did you bring this to, executive director?
I talked to him about it. I talked to him about it.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And then, only that, I had done a form my ledger
Mhm.
today, and I noticed on there from 2013, it's got a lot of $20 late fees on my thing when it shouldn't be there, because I always have paid my rent, which, you know for yourself, I showed you all my receipts, and then when I paid twice in October, and asked Maria what happened to my other $181 that I paid in October, she told me it went toward some stuff from last year when it wasn't. And I never received a letter saying I owe late, I was behind in my rent for August of 2014, which I wasn't paying that. Then she told me that once I paid it, they would credit my, account and take the late fees from it. Then after that, turned around and hit me with $119 worth of late fees that I wound up had to pay. And now it's zero balance, but I wanna know why is I'm getting hit from 2013 with late fees. And I've been paying my rent. And I think that was the time around when the fire was over there and I got burnt out. I was staying in a hotel still paying my rent, so how is they hitting me with late fees? And she went over with me and stuff, but my thing is, I want you to get it, and you go through it with me step by step, and try to come on something, because I think from what the end of the paper saying, I done paid over $5,080-some.
What we'll do, and you can come down and we'll make a meeting and we'll go through that. And I know you came down, was it last week when we talked before?
Yeah, and I gave you the copy of the receipts, and you see why I paid twice, October the 1st.
So we'll schedule another meeting and bring the ledger that you have, and
Uh-huh.
me, and Maria will all sit down and go through it at the same time.
No problem.
Pete, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a written down process, so when our clients have this kind of issue, they have, a process so they can follow, so they don't feel unfairly treated?
We do have a process. I mean, generally they're supposed to go to the property manager. If there's still a dispute, then they would go to Maria, who's the director of public housing. Ms. Ivory actually has followed that procedure. She has gone, seen her property manager. She has met with Maria Godinez. I'm the next step in that process.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that our clients understand and know that there's a process, so they don't feel frustrated, for use of a better word, taken advantage of, so they have a recourse or plan to get their, their issues straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Can I say one more thing, Richard?
You're like 10 seconds.
Okay, now, if this, bank is storing up and stuff.
We'll address that. We'll take care of it. Yeah, we'll address that with
I
you.
just want to let you know, I would not be paying my rent at that bank, I would get my money when it comes straight here to the office paying. I'd rather do it that way.
Well, we'd have to work, there's a little bit about that we'd have to work out, but, we'll deal with that as that comes up.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay, collect,
Right here.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
The reason I'm here is because of the new parking, booth people we have going on in Eastwood. I don't know if it's at all properties, but we do have, booth people coming out boothing our cars. Now, I feel as a tenant that that's wrong well, I have a house, so I stay on Grove. I have, my own driveway. And for me to tell my mom or my dad they can't park in my driveway because they're gonna get booted, I feel like that's wrong. I brought it to Maria's attention, far as us having parking passes, maybe that'll help the issue that they got, that they said they had going on, an issue of people parking in different slots and they weren't supposed to over in the whole area. It was like, I guess visitors was coming, taking their parking spaces, making it congested for them to park. But it used to be a point in time where you can have visitors and they park over there and they have to be gone by 3 a.m. That's okay, because you got people coming to visit you and they have to park down the street and around the corner. That's not fair to us as tenants. Me and a couple of more tenants that's here, I've been booted twice. And I've been there 6 years. My daughter's car was booted, my car was booted, I was there 5 seconds. And the boot man came and booted my car. I missed work. I called Miss Melody ASAP because I couldn't get to work that night. I think I left you a voicemail, but we're just here because we got a real big issue with the parking and the booting of our cars, and I don't feel like that's fair to us. And we can't have parking passes like when our visitors come, go put this in your window because you're here visiting me, so they'll know that you're here, that you belong to my unit. Then that would be more efficient than them just pulling up, booting our cars and then pulling off. Like, they don't even knock on the door and say anything, they just pull up, boot and run, They done tried to move my Lincoln a couple of times, and just so happened, she was outside and called me, and she was in the window and called me, like, they moving your car, and I got a stick in the window. So I don't know what the problem is with the parking situation, but it's just not, I don't think it's fair to us, that's it.
I know there are a couple people, I think, here for the same issue. Ms. Moore, are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're here about the same matter?
Yes.
Okay, and Ms. McGee,
Yes.
same matter? Okay, how about we let all three of you go and then we'll respond to all three, is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Mine was pretty much the same, there's nothing.
So she didn't want to say anything.
Oh,
But
okay.
the end of her, then I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the same thing that she stated, my mother has arthritis in her leg, so if she come visit me, I don't feel like she should be able to walk all the way down the street just to come to my house. Then, when I first moved here, they gave me a sticker, when I first moved here. Put the sticker up in my window, she said it's not registered to my car, they put it over my car. I showed them the sticker, they said it didn't match my car. So what did I get it from? I couldn't get it from no one else. So, and then now that they made it for, we can't park that, there's so much space. Now, everywhere in front of our house, now, they vacant, you could park there, but we can't. So, my thing is, if they was gonna do something like that, why didn't they put numbers on the park? Like, I'm A, put an A right there, B, C, whatever.
Yeah, that's another suggestion.
And then keep the visitors parking, that's it. We live in the low end, subsidized, we don't have money to pay people to get boots off our car. We don't have money to do that.
And I feel like they targeted, not even targeting us, but there's people that live in the complex that we have to suffer for. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of stuff going on in the complex that a lot of the tenants have nothing to do with. It's people subleasing apartments that shouldn't be there. It's empty apartments that people never come to that shouldn't be there. It's all kind of stuff going on that they should focus towards. Just besides coming after us for parking. Because pretty much, I've never really seen no parking problems. Every now and again, you'll see like somebody having a party and then they'll fill up the lot, but that person should know if you're having a party, your party people should park on the street, not in the lot, because we have tenants that live here, And all of us is just not sitting at home doing nothing, just collecting Section 8 or low income. I'm a working mother, and these ladies are too. You know, so it's just not like we just trying to soak it up, you know, like, it don't matter, it does matter, because I don't have $170 every time they boot my car. I don't have money to give out to them like that. Especially, you know, we got parents, my father's on oxygen, his wife is on oxygen, so when he pull in my driveway, he gotta worry about getting his Davis or getting his stuff out the car and worry about being moved. You know, the same with her mother. We all have people that come visit us that have problems, you know.
I guess what
They
I
don't
don't
wanna,
understand.
they don't even wanna come visit no more. I can't even have my family come visit, cause they still
And my
in
daughter was actually taking the baby's birthday cake in the house, into her house, and they booted her car within 2 minutes.
Who's doing the booting?
Yeah, so we just changed companies to IBS. We had Green Machine before, and we changed over to IBS about 2 or 3 months ago. Please, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we had a meeting, and I wanted to make sure all the points. So real quickly, the Illinois parking systems. The first thing is, the new parking started booting cars and giving, before they gave residents parking, proper notice. They came alone without an AHA rep, one. If anyone usually solicits any AHA property, they need to have a permit or an AHA person with them. Cause me, myself, I even don't open my door. My kids are telling me, no one called me, nobody emailed me, told me they're coming. I don't have any family in Aurora, I don't open the door for anyone. So I think that was wrong even. They didn't have an AHA person with them, and then they came along and they didn't give proper notice. So they gave out boots on Friday, January 23rd. Tenants did not get any paper in writing until Saturday, January 24th.
Which was after they booted my daughter's car. Then they came back around, cause I made a big issue about it, and they came back around and put notices in the mailbox that they were gonna start booting. Well, by then I had already contacted Melanie, because it was a big
But
issue.
no one knew about anything. The next thing is visitor parking in the front of the center. Right now, they just put up new signs that says Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. First of all, the office, when it is open, opens at 8 a.m. There are only about 12 visitor parking spots for 32 units on Northeast Drive. So that means
Say that number again?
it's only 12, approximately 12 visitor parking spots in 2 different areas for 32 units on Northeast Drive. So I understand everybody can't have company at the same time, this and that, but to make it, this the first time it's making it no weekend parking in front of the center or evenings. That's a big problem because we have a lot of various organizations that come in. The, matter of fact, one of Riverwoods, they're one of the Riverwood representatives in South Wind almost got a boot on her van.
No weekends or no evening.
And we have programs, especially in the center, in our community, we're, blessed enough, and we have organizations that are in there regularly. And so, that doesn't work, and ever since I've been living here, it always has been, it can be a later hour. So, my suggestion, or a few suggestions that we came up with was either the visitor parking tags, or change the hours to have no overnight parking only, but, make it later in the evening. They already spoke about their elderly parents, same thing with my dad. Had colon surgery from colon cancer. I don't have no family out here, I don't have a lot of guests. He comes out here possibly once a week or once every 2 weeks. So now, the last few weeks when he been coming, I said, Daddy, wait, you can't park over there if it's after 10. And then when that sign came up, Daddy, go find a park on the street. No, you can't park here. My daddy looked at me like, what's going on? He like, this is why I know I'm parking. That's in the visitor parking. And he looked at me like, you telling me I can't park in visitor parking? So anyway, so that, and he don't stay overnight. So if he was able, so those hours from 9 to 5, that's not feasible. The next thing was booting actual residents' cars with no reason. Next thing, poor customer service, especially when they are in the wrong. Next thing, amount is too high, it's $170, or the time restriction to pay. I haven't experienced booting, but a few residents here
That's
have.
$170, that's not
They want you to do it
including towing. If they tow your vehicle, that's another fee tacked on to the boot that has to be removed off the car.
Right, so my thing is either lower the amount or extend the time period to pay. Because I hear that they tell you, you give me the $170 now, I'm gonna get you booted, it's gonna cost you more. And people have to go to work, or they have to go pay their own, whatever they do to get that money, that time is not enough to say, we about to boot your car right now. You better hurry up and give me $170. I haven't had to deal with it, but that's what I'm told. The next thing is,
Is it on all properties?
Yeah, the contract is at all of our properties.
the next thing is going through really quickly. Brought to our attention that it's dangerous to have the unmarked vehicles that's riding around putting the boots on the cars. Suggestion would be they need to have signage, either those magnets to say something, or some kind of flashing light. Because tenants like, yeah, let somebody be by my car, and I don't know who, that's not gonna, they don't feel well with that. So it needs to be some vehicles with some kind of signage, not just somebody running around coming touching tenants' cars.
Right. And then they sitting there with the doggone credit card thing. I don't know you, I'm not gonna give you my credit card. Are you serious? Who are you?
And then, lastly regarding the parking is, it's supposed to help residents, but it seems like right now it's creating more problems. Residents feel like they're being put in like a jail. It's good to have rules, and it's good that they can be enforced, but it's the way that it's being handled, it can be done much better. And then lastly, my question is, who and when did this contract agreement come about? I know in the past, at tenant council meetings, even I got past emails that I had problems with, I couldn't park in my house, in front of my own apartment. So I know that something needs to be done, so I'm grateful for that, but, when did, who came up with this, and it's a 4-page, I didn't bring the document, I have it on me, but it's a 4-page document with 32 rules, I believe, and some of them are kind of crazy, because we have a tenant here that it was too much snow, and so she parked a little bit on the line or something, and she got a boot, because the snow was taking over one spot, but she was a little over, but it was the piles of snow.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of rules in there.
And then I don't wanna cut you off, but let me say this real quick. The houses that's on Grove Street and Beckwith, we own our own, well, not own, but you know, it's AHA, but we rent our own, that's our property because we rent it. We have our own driveway. I don't see why it's a problem with us having family members park in our driveway.
That's the question I wanted to ask you. You said, a couple of times you got booted in your driveway. That's not right.
My son got stabbed in the face 9 times.
Right,
A couple of weeks ago, and I was on my way from the hospital that night. I called you, and I had bagged in my driveway to let the kids unload the car so they can go. And I ran in to use the bathroom and get ready for work. I wasn't even there 5 minutes. My son ran outside to get the stuff out. My trunk was open. He ran outside to get the rest of the stuff. He said, "Mama, you got a boot?" I said, "You got to be
Yeah, but
kidding."
you're in your driveway.
Yeah, in my
They
driveway.
shouldn't boot that.
They shouldn't boot that. That's what I called the police. Aurora police said you were not no violation. I don't understand why they going through this, because y'all have y'all own units and y'all should not be having problems in y'all driveway booting. Now I understand the whole but they should put numbers on the slots where these ladies can have a slot, you know, this slot is for the visitors, you know, whatever, but, you know.
And we just want to revisit it, the whole system.
Well, let me say this. I think when we initially started this process, you know, we had a towing contract with, I think it was Green Machine Towing, and we had a lot of issues with them for different reasons than this. And that's where, as Commissioner Wimbley asked, where the contract came from. But you know, in light of all of this, and we've had some other discussions about them, I think, you know, it's only fair to admit when we made a mistake, which we did in this case, it seems. So what we're going to do, and I will take care of this tomorrow, we will suspend this contract for the time being. And then we will, now I will say this, we're going to suspend it for now, and then we're going to revisit this and try to take it a little bit slower and really reassess how we approach the towing and booting. The issue is about security. That's the reason that it was done. But apparently in this case, things have gotten a little out of hand. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to suspend the contract, and then we are going to kind of revisit this a little bit slower.
One more thing, thanks for that, but like we were saying, Ms. Melody was saying, like, some of this stuff is done for security purposes, and we know that we do want to be in a secure environment, so that's why one of the suggestions for the people that actually stay inside the hole was the parking passes. So if Maria or you issue 2 parking passes to each unit, you know who's visiting I mean, if somebody get in trouble, and their parking pass is hanging in their window, you would know who they belong to, or they was in your unit because they got your parking pass in their car, you know
Well,
what I'm
well,
saying?
let's do this, because I know we have to kind of move this along.
Mhm.
I know you said you want to talk after the meeting, so let's have that discussion, and I know Commissioner Wimble, I think Eastwood is a very specific case it's a little bit different than some of our other properties in regards to the clientele and how things work, but if you would be interested, we'd like to have your input on how we move this forward.
Yes.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, you know, I'm always.
Only if I get to ride in the Lincoln, though. You talking about you got a Lincoln, I want to ride.
Wait, they can boot the Buick, but when it comes to the Lincoln, I gotta.
Yes.
Can I get a point of clarification?
Yes.
Why are they booting and getting tickets? What are the reasons for that?
Originally, we wanted to enforce security on the properties, make sure that a lot of we for a while historically have had issues with individuals who are at the properties causing problems, or individuals who aren't supposed to be at the property. So we took an approach to, have those vehicles booted and towed to kind of bring down the amount of traffic of people who really, do cause problems at the properties. I think what happened is that this particular vendor has taken things a little bit too far.
Sounds like you're a little too aggressive.
Right.
Right, so can I suggest something?
Yes.
You may not want to suspend or cancel this contract, because we may have ramifications for that. Talk to the attorney, of course, but explain to him that maybe he just doesn't need to be as aggressive and set up systems and processes like the ladies have talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of tweak it and fix it.
Okay.
Okay,
Just a suggestion, okay, you're in charge of the day-to-day stuff, but
I mean, but it's still, we have houses on the block. I mean, I still feel like that we shouldn't be in, jeopardy of being booted because, again, they say I'm an FBI, but I'm not, but I like where I live, you have to take care.
all right.
I think you have the attention of the board now in AHA,
Mhm.
and so it seems like now they're listening, so we can have a meeting like to further discuss this.
Mhm.
And thank you ladies so much for coming.
Yeah,
And-
Yeah,
absolutely.
one more thing on that.
Yes, sir.
See if you could get her money reimbursed.
Absolutely.
If she was booted in the driveway, and anyone else that was booted in the driveway.
And then the other issue is, one more thing, the other issue was bagging in. We can't bag into our driveways. Now, Maria did tell me that was false, because as long as my neighbor is okay, and she has where to park, that we should be able to bag in, drive in, whichever way we feel comfortable with parking in the driveway.
And we'll talk, I don't mean to cut,
Okay.
but we'll deal with that when we get to that
Okay, what
part.
about mine, when I had a sticker up in my window from AHA?
Every-
And I was-
We'll do,
Right.
here's what we'll do, on a case-by-case basis, Maria and I will sit down with each of you and kind of go through what happened, and we'll make a decision from there.
Thanks for
So-
coming.
Chairman, we need a second on reimbursing those fees for the ladies that got booted in the driveways?
Keith can do that.
I'll take care of that.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along, review of financial reports and list of bills.
So for the month of February, the Housing Authority had about a $10,000 loss, which, as we all know, for us, an agency of our size, that's close to break even, but I really, I don't like losses, so it's kind of how that kind of plays out. So for the year to date, we're $472,000 net loss. We kind of have been holding on that line for the last couple of months. We knew that was coming after December. Programmatically in the public housing program, we have a $87,000 net profit for the month, which brings that program to $730,000 of profit for the year. Section 8 program has about a $65,000 net loss for the month and a $305,000 net loss for the year. Central office is adding essentially $65,000 for the month and then $898,000 of expense for the year.
Any questions?
In terms of budgeting for next year, what are the changes in terms of, are you expecting the revenue numbers to be the same or similar?
We're expecting to have a little bit less money actually, and the budget, even though if you look at the budget physically, it's a larger number. It jumps from about 13 to 17 million.
Right.
The reason for that is the addition of the vouchers for the Franciscan Ministries program. In reality, operationally, we are scaling down the program. We're cutting back on training. We've frozen pretty much all hires. We're doing replacement hiring, but we won't, do any new hiring. We're just trying to get back to a point where we're living within the funds that HUD's given us. If you recall, back in 2013, we had to do a similar thing where we really scaled back a little bit until we got into a better place financially.
So those things that you already mentioned, and then are we going to basically hold back some additional vouchers then, or how else do you get there?
So we'll continue to scale back the vouchers depending on HUD's funding. So for example, as long as they're funding us at, whatever percentage, that's where we'll fit right into that number.
Okay, so just back into that number.
Yeah. Are there any other questions about the financials?
Keith, are you comfortable, you worried, you?
Well, I would say this, it's never a comfortable thing to have to tell the board that we have $472,000 in losses for a year. That does not make sitting in this seat easy. The reality is, though, we are aware of how we got here. The HUD took back $717,000 as HUD held reserve. So in reality, we operated this year at a $300,000 net profit. Knowing that does give me comfort, and knowing that we are able to manage well within our budget confines also gives me a lot of comfort going into next year, knowing that we've already been through a very similar situation and came out at the end of that year with a significant size profit.
Right, so I mean, HUD taking the money back, it's not like we actually lost the money, even though it says that on the books. But you're comfortable overall with the budgets and the monies that are coming in and out?
Yes, like I said, we are going to scale back a couple operational things just to ensure that we remain within our budget, but I certainly am comfortable with our ability to work and successfully operate the housing authority within our new budget, yes.
Right, that's kind of my bottom line question, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions about that or the list of bills? Yes, sir.
I didn't see, the towing company's not paid by AHA.
No, we don't pay them.
So.
They're literally paid by the fees, which is.
Yeah, that to me, that's kind of a flawed, that's a flawed system
Yeah.
because they're getting paid by taking advantage of the.
Yeah.
It would actually, I don't know, I think it just needs to be, what's that?
Got permission.
Yeah, so I think suspending it makes sense and then kind of revisiting it, because it would almost make sense in my mind that if, we set up the rules for the parking passes or whatever the right system is so that everyone can, say you can't have guests over at night or on the weekend. Well, if you're working during the day, when are you gonna have guests over? So it's like, but maybe a new structure might be that actually there's some amount of payment just to be on retainer, and then they go do what they do so that they're not incentivized to, take advantage of the residents.
Absolutely.
Review about the staff report.
So this month is the end of our fiscal year, so we have another week to go, and we will close out this fiscal year. April 1st marks the beginning of the new year. This year's been kind of interesting. We've gotten a lot done. We've gotten some awards. It's not been a bad fiscal year all told. But as we start looking forward, we're going to be planning on, continuing our work with scattered sites, continuing our work with upgrading our own units, and then also just continuing to improve our operations. So we're looking at new technologies, ways to kind of cut costs while improving efficiency, all those kinds of things that are, take place at the end of the year. So we kind of look back on where we were fiscally as far as, how we reported to HUD, as well as, how we've done in terms of getting things moved forward at the agency. The other thing you'll notice because of the end of the year, for probably the next 2 months financially will be in scramble mode. So you'll see on the list of bills probably for, March, April, May, the accounting fee is going to go up a lot just because this time of year we do spend more money as they kind of close out the year and they put in a few more hours. You will also notice we've changed companies. We had some concerns with the previous company, Emphasis. We have switched to a new firm that focuses solely on accounting work. So I think Emphasis does excellent work, but I think the challenge with them was that they do so many other things. Sometimes we felt the accounting wasn't a priority. So we switched over to a group that focuses only on accounting and procurement. So I think we'll do I think we're going to do much better with that group going forward.
What's the name of the company?
Made Consulting. It's two individuals, or a couple of individuals actually, out of Pittsburgh. They come, they're on site quarterly, and then they've just got much more experience, in my opinion, with handling purely the accounting side of things. They don't really do a lot of the other stuff. The only other thing we have, and I know Jim will probably touch on it in his report, Yes, sir.
What size contract is that for them?
Run that again?
What size contract is that for the new accounting firm?
It's $75,000 per year. And that's not a fixed number, they bill on an hourly basis.
What are we paying now?
We paid upwards of $110,000 under the contract. Again, it's hourly billed, but the emphasis contract was $110,000.
Is the accounting firm that's leaving us, are they already gone?
Yes.
Okay. When is there an audit?
The audit actually starts, well, the unaudited process starts immediately after the end of the fiscal year. The full audit happens later on in the year in September.
Okay. And then does the board have to approve that contract?
No, not because of the size of the contract, no. And it's basically an operational contract, so it's not generally brought up because of the size and because of that fact.
Okay.
Was that all, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay. The only other thing, like I said, and Jim will probably touch on his report, our REAC inspections have been scheduled for early June, I believe. As you recall, last year, that was kind of, the big negative for the year was the results of the REAC score. Our process has kind of taken hold this year. We've already run through an entire property over at Indian Trail, and I think the process works very well with two separate groups. We have an inspection team that goes through every single unit, does an inspection, makes out a full list, and then individuals go behind them with contractors or without and works on everything in that report. Maintenance has been really helpful in that, and at this point, now that we have our dates scheduled, we're actually scheduling the maintenance team to go through every single unit that we have between now and June to make sure that everything is clean and we bring that score up significantly.
Just again, a clarification, that was the score that we didn't score the best on?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for me? If no, Maria's not here today. She had a family obligation she needed to attend to. Were there any questions regarding her report?
Pete,
Yeah.
sorry, again, point of clarification.
Yes.
Size of contracts that as a board we do need to approve, what's the amount on that?
Generally, anything over $100,000.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Were there any questions about Maria's report?
I just had a couple.
Mhm.
Why do we still list Jericho Circle's units on our list of units?
In theory, and this is, it's a HUD thing. You guys probably don't need to see it because very well there's not a single unit here. We do every year have to report to HUD as if those units still exist, though. It's a strange complexity of their system. They don't ever consider demolished units gone until they actually say you can sell off the land or sell off the unit. So for HUD's purposes, and that report is a system-generated base set of reports, it still picks up Jericho Circle as offline units. But no, for the purposes of the board, we could take that out of the
No,
report.
it's fine, yeah, I guess that makes sense, that answer.
So on the same token,
Mhm.
I'll get confused when these scatter stats and Brenshaw is doing it. But, once we start replacing some of these units, will this number come down?
It should. However, and this was one of the strange complexities of how the HUD agreement worked with Brenshaw, the 40 units and any units that we had through Brenshaw, though it meets our requirement to replace those units, we still will have 146 available public housing units that we could theoretically build someplace else. It's kind of a weird situation. We're actually still able to create more housing on the public housing side. The only difference is, and this has been a challenge since we demolished the units, HUD has not funded us to do the replacement. So I think what they're doing is balancing out or trying to figure out exactly how much it's gonna cost to do the additional vouchers versus how much money they're gonna give us to replace any remaining units. And remember, in the VCA, they're holding us to 100 units to be replaced. They're not gonna address, I don't think, the funding issue necessary to do any replacement until after we finish the VCA.
Hey, Keith, the other reason they made us keep that for the reporting, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because technically we could still be built there?
In HUD's eyes, yes.
Got it.
Are there any
Questions?
Okay, for the Section 8 program for the month of February, we had 89 annual recertifications in progress. We completed 67. We did 42 interim rent adjustments. We reissued 10 vouchers, which were families moving here and families boarding in. We sent 4 families to other housing authorities. We completed 4 lease-ups, 9 initial inspections, 62 annual inspections, 26 re-inspections, 1 special inspection, a 24-hour for a smoke detector violation. We had 1 termination for a family who violated the family obligations. We absorbed 5 families from other housing authorities. We had no abatements and 5 repayment agreements signed. And our total vouchers leased right now is 806. Any questions?
Is that number, that's gonna be kind of what we're going forward with for the next fiscal year?
No, and soon enough, kind of
Trying to keep it a
already.
little lower.
Yeah, given what we're expecting for funding, we're thinking 775 is about the number we need to be at.
We didn't have a lot of terminations, and when we had families, coming in at this time, we were still absorbing.
Yeah.
So if we had promised them that we would absorb, we're still honoring that, and so the numbers are gonna probably not be reduced until there's more terminations and.
It'll take us a little time to get down there, but it's kind of the same situation. It takes a few months. We don't force people off the program. We wait until naturally they've either moved on or, in this case, have someone violated the family obligations. But we don't force anyone off just to meet the number. We'll kind of naturally get down there. Are there any other questions for Sue?
Will the Brinshaw numbers be reflected in this program going forward, once those come online, or will it?
They'll be part of the total number of vouchers, so yes.
It'll be part of the total number. That's a whole nother thing we gotta kind of prep for. Right?
Yeah, and if you remember, we initially were on that path, and then we got, the funding cuts came, and so we really kind of had to change. We're going to kind of start that over again. So, and again, it's not, the Brinshaw units are going to start coming online very slowly. It's not something we're going to see all 40 at one time. So I think we'll be in a good spot as they come on, incrementally. I think we'll be okay.
So will it be, families moving from, I'm just trying to, how we get to that number, will it be families moving from existing places that they're renting and then they'd move into a Brinshaw and it would be that kind of a transfer that way, or it would be as people come offline, those would be moved over to those properties?
And just want to understand your question, are you asking, how are we going to get people to fill the Brinshaw units? Or
Well, I'm just wondering where those vouchers are gonna come from.
Oh, the same way that we're doing right now. We'll actually have to lower our number below 775 to make room for the 40 that are going to come online.
Right,
Yeah.
so, that's gonna take months or maybe longer, right?
It will. We don't expect to have the first 2 Brinshaw units are expected to be delivered in the summer, and then you're going to get 2 or 3 a month after that. So we're not. So again, we're going to have, I think, enough time to get down. And even if we aren't exactly there when we get the first couple of units, we've been in a situation where we still got. Yeah, we'll kind of balance it out as we go along with some of the reserves, and if we need to, we'll call HUD and get some of that money back that they took from us. So we're in an okay situation to balance out until that takes care of itself.
They're potentially, depending on as they come online, they might be more attractive than current places that people are using, so it might be just shift from one location to another location.
I mean, that's a possibility. You know, you do have people who do have the opportunity to move, and they certainly could if they were eligible to use, you know, moving in those units, absolutely. And you know, our expectation is that there'll be nicer units. You know, if they're not, then we've done something wrong.
Yeah. Sorry, so, and then in terms of, past residents of Jericho Circle that have been able to kind of express to the top of that, where's that?
So we had an interesting result. You know, we were required as part of the VCA to canvass that entire population. It was roughly 93 families that we canvassed. We sent out information to, just asking one for them to update their address, and two, it was a form they needed to fill out. We did this sometime last year, and asked them to fill out the form, return it to us. It was in a postage paid envelope. If they were interested in being included in the Renshaw project, and also if they were interested in continuing to hold that position. We got back out of 93, we only got 10 responses. And of those 10, only 2 were interested in being included in the Renshaw project. So those 2 are at the very top of the waiting list. First units come up, we'll go to them. Any other questions? Sure.
Yeah.
I'm resting.
We'll pretty much continue what we're doing last month. We're working with the city, actually doing work orders, emergencies, and a little bit of snow that snuck up on us. But this month has been mainly around vacancies. We had close to, I think, 17 units in with the help of the maintenance guys, and the combination of contractors. I think as of right now we have 2 vacancies right now. So we're finishing those up. And I'll be pulling 2 to 3 guys strictly, as Mr. Gregory said, to start working on REACT. REACT will begin the first of June, so with that in mind, we already set and kind of formed a strategy as far as what we need to do. We're going to start, like Mr. Gregory said, we're going to get into each unit and address everything that needs to be done and address them according to the findings. The higher ones will address immediately and repair, and then we'll make work orders and follow up on them. Other than that, like I said, with those vacancies, they included some of our tier units that turned out really nice. And then our fire extinguishers inspected. Other than that, like I said, starting next week will be pretty much focused on REACT.
Any questions for Jim?
I have one, but I can't find it now.
Kind of the same thing as not having a question, though, right?
You can call me.
There's something to do about units. That was like disaster something. I think that was the word.
So much.
Well, I'll call you first.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Any other questions? New business.
I do want to take one, if you don't mind, sir. One moment, because as we all know, being my assistant seems to be a constant carousel of new people. So, LV has actually been promoted, as many of our executive assistants have. She's now an assistant property manager who will be working directly for Maria out of the site. So as a result, I'll be losing LV, and Megan Turley will be my new assistant. So, same role, same everything. So if you need anything, you're trying to find me, Megan will always know where I am.
You train them when they leave.
Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. I'm starting to think it's me after a while. You know, start thinking it's, I feel like it's me now.
Okay, new business.
So the first,
Resolution 1503, approval of fiscal year 2016 operating budget.
So as you all have received, I think last month around this time, the operating budget for this coming fiscal year, which includes all of the activities, this is basically the financial document for all the things that we're going to do this coming year. As you've noticed, it's about $4 million larger than it has been in the past, and that's exclusively due to the fact that we went through, in partnership with the development company, and got the Franciscan Ministries project, which adds 529 project-based vouchers that we didn't. These aren't our vouchers. We added these. These are new vouchers. So we actually increased the size of our Section 8 program theoretically by over 50%. But that's the single reason for that sizable increase in the budget. Other than that, really, if you look in some of the operational categories, it's actually a little smaller. Whereas much less training, there's a lot less travel, a lot of things that we generally, had a little bit more money for, we've cut back on because of the decrease in operational funds. So overall, it's a $17.2, I think, $million budget. Public housing program is about 1.8 million operationally, and then the Section 8 program is roughly $12 million.
So where do you see that, who was managing those?
They manage them themselves. Actually, Franciscan Ministries was a self-owned, subsidized housing program. There are a lot of different programs other than public housing. Public housing is the more generally known one, but there are several different coded funding sources. Theirs, I think, was 237B. That's funding source for them ended, and they did a RAD conversion. In order to complete that conversion, they had to partner with an affordable housing developer and manager. In this case, we're the local housing authority for one of the properties. We kind of,
Constitution House?
yes. We petitioned them successfully to get one of their properties that's out in Carroll Stream. That's the main reason, as we discussed, the development company's involvement allows us to actually bring that project in as well.
Mm-hmm. So are those 500 and some of those project, or are those location based?
Mm-hmm.
There's a combination, or so it's Constitution House, Carroll Stream, and
Right.
then are there other sites, or and some of these non-site restricted?
No, all 529 vouchers are site restricted. There are 220 some odd of them at Constitution House. Those vouchers literally stay at Constitution House for those units. The remainder, I think it's like 284, stay at Colony Park, which is the Carroll Stream property. They're project-based for that property.
It's just an opportunity to administrate it and then take those revenues.
No, it's one, we take the revenues, we do get to administer it. There is the upside, though, that now, because we administer the vouchers, we also have some say-so over the waiting list. So, we do have the ability to take residents who are on our waiting list that meet their requirements and say, listen, you can also fill some of these spots. So it does help the residents on our waiting list have access to things that they may not otherwise have had access to.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions about the budget?
Roll call.
We need a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 1503.
Motion.
Second.
Move the second. Roll call.
Henry Chapin,
Yay.
Melanie Wimbley,
Yes.
Ray Cruz,
Yes.
Scott Horace.
Yes.
Motion been, the resolution been approved.
Oops, sorry.
Let you know, Justin.
Oh. So we have resolution 15-04, and as we all I think I called pretty much all of you over the last week, because this one came up a little bit abruptly, so I wanted to make sure we all individually had an opportunity to just kind of talk this one over before we brought it before the board. We have been given an opportunity to partner with Very Green Development and the city of Aurora on a potential roughly $20+ million rehab of the St. Charles Hospital property. Just for clarification, because I know that kind of got confused, the St. Charles Hospital property is not the Copley Hospital. Those are different. These are different buildings. St. Charles Hospital sits on New York Street, right across from McCarty Park, very close to downtown. Very Green is seeking 44 project-based vouchers to help support the financing and tax credit application for this development. We have a representative, Mr. David Block, from Very Green, who's here today to answer any of the board's questions, as I know there probably are a few. So I will actually turn this over to you guys and ask Mr. Block a few questions if you have.
I got 2 questions, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Number one, how does this benefit the Aurora Housing Authority?
Do I get, when we answer that one, then I get another one, or when we give them both?
No, go ahead and answer that one.
For the Housing Authority, number one, this is another really good opportunity for us to meet the requirements of the voluntary compliance agreement. With 44 vouchers plus the 40 we already have out, if this is awarded, that puts us at 84% completion. We're practically, with that, we're almost done with the VCA. And I think that's a very, very, for us, operationally, just a very large thing. Secondly, it is an opportunity for us to help more residents. This is potentially a 62-unit property, right? 60-unit property. Where we'll be able to, help seniors find affordable housing in the city of Aurora. It's an adaptive reuse of a currently vacant property. It's going to pay taxes. It's going to rehab a building that's otherwise probably going to fall apart eventually. So it has a lot of upside, I think, for both the city and for the Housing Authority. Not to mention, as always, as you guys know how I am, there are opportunities for financial benefits as well, in the sense that the development company gets involved and housing authority can potentially benefit from some of the financial developer fee that may or may not come from this project. That piece, I can't say for certain that this is going to do, developer fee money for the housing authority, but I will say that the potential certainly exists.
On the money side, potential, couple ideas on what you mean by that on the money side potential for the Aurora Housing Authority?
Sure. So anytime the housing authority gets involved in a tax credit project, there's generally a developer fee portion that we will receive. Now, the housing authority can't directly receive that fee portion. That's why the development company got involved in the Brenshaw project. That's why it was originally created, was so that we had a body that could receive the funds that furthers the mission of the agency. The development company, because of its kind of kindred mission to the housing authority's mission, could then use those funds to partner with the housing authority to further develop housing that now is free from some of the HUD restrictions. So we could, through a partnership with the development company, go out, purchase the remaining 16 homes we need to close out our VCA, and that helps, financially the housing authority and compliance-wise the housing authority.
And how many total units are over at this property?
It's projected to be a 60-unit property.
So why aren't we doing 60 instead of 44 to get us closer to our requirement from HUD?
Well, one, the request was only for 44 from the developer. Two, we've discussed, the importance of mixed finance, mixed income housing. I think if we did all 60 units, we would kind of be countering that argument. And then also, I think, when we talked with, and Rick Guzman unfortunately couldn't be here today, he had some dental work done, but, it's just one of the things I think when we sat down with the city, they preferred, and I personally agreed that, having 100% of the units be supported by project-based vouchers might be counter to what we've said publicly on other occasions.
Okay, that's all I had.
Is it David? Yeah. Can you just give us some background on how the project got this far along?
Sure. I have a PowerPoint. I have about a 10-minute little slideshow for you if you want to run through that quickly. Is that?
Yeah, give me about.
Just something?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes here. We can get it pulled up for you.
All right.
Well, he's saying, what's the downside? I heard all the good stuff.
Yeah. What do we need to do in terms of protection as you answer that question?
Well, if you notice, our resolution is actually conditional. So we aren't, our risk is always that we go into this project and we don't get the award, and then we are kind of back at square one. So we're back at the 40 units that we had, and we didn't get any more done than that. The other risk, of course, is that we use up a lot of the vouchers that we have. In doing this kind of a project, we put at risk the fact that, as we have to scale down into the Brenshaw project, and we actually did commit to a few extra phases of Brenshaw, we only have a limited number of vouchers available for these kinds of projects. So I think those are the main risks that you have. Excuse me, man. So I think those are the main risks. Financially, our risk is limited because our voucher allocation is conditional. And it's going to be conditional on one, a satisfactory fee sharing and on them getting tax credit. So we're not on the hook for any dollars if they don't get tax credit. Okay. Any other questions for me before I give David a go for this year?
You want to rest for that?
I need to plug it in probably for that.
What kind of
Just, I can either do this or I've got.
I'm hoping this works. Our IT guys here like Saturday.
Is Ray gonna be able to see it?
No, Commissioner Cruz will probably not be able to see it. right now he is a presentation.
That's the star.
So,
I've got it, yeah.
if you have it,
I've got a cable.
okay.
How did the 44 number come to be?
It was just I think it was more of a financial decision. I think David can kind of go into that a little bit more as to how we got there.
Did I hear something else, David?
Sorry, hold on. It's too Too much technology in one room. All right, sorry, Mr. Cruz, you say that again?
Did I ask somebody here what's the negative of the project?
Yes, Chairman Champion asked those questions.
Good job, Chairman.
Commissioner Cruz, you'll be able to see us, but we're going to lose you for a little bit, okay? You all right with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
The PC or, no, it's not. I may have an HDMI, let me look.
If you need a cable, I can get you a cable pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's just, that's a special. Sorry, folks. Too much technology.
Me and you, Fred, help us.
Right, you're everywhere.
I'm gonna try to see if this will.
There you
Beautiful. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
go. Sorry about that.
Okay, so, first of all, thank you, Keith, and thank you, commissioners, for having me here this afternoon. I'm David Block. I'm the Director of Development for Vera Green Development. We're based downtown in Chicago, and we are primarily an affordable housing development company. We do mixed income housing. We also do some market rate housing, and we have been working in Aurora for just under 6 months now. We've been working largely with the mayor's office to identify suitable sites for development and redevelopment. And as Keith mentioned, we are applying for tax credits. And the low-income housing tax credit, the LIHTC, is awarded in 2 rounds each year by IDA, the Illinois Housing Development Authority. And so we are in the process of applying. The deadline for these credits is Friday, okay? And I hate rushing to do these things. And unfortunately, we thought that we weren't going to be able to do this project at all. We had been working with the city to get control of this property, and there was another buyer who was in the middle of it, and we thought, well, you know, we sort of missed that chance, so we'll move on to another site. But just about 3 weeks ago, that other buyer went away, and so we re-engaged with the owner of this property now, and we're currently negotiating a final contract with them. And so we scrambled because we wanted to make this March 27th deadline to apply for tax credits. We scrambled, and I got together with Keith, been talking to folks in the mayor's office about, is it possible for us to make this deadline? So I apologize for coming to you at the last minute. It's just kind of how this project came together. So you know this building. It is a beautiful building. This is the former St. Charles Hospital, also used to be known as the Fox River Pavilion. It's a beautiful building. It's had some ugly history to it. When it was a nursing home, its conditions there kind of got worse and worse. There was a stabbing, and the state finally pulled their license, and it shut down in 2011. And so currently it's sitting vacant, and parts of it are open to the weather. And so if somebody doesn't do something with this beautiful building, the weather will eventually tear it down. And so we're hoping that we're successful in this application process and we can bring this building back to life as 60 units of beautiful mixed-income senior housing in Aurora. And so the partners here in this development are us. That's us as a residential developer. Housing Authority, the City of Aurora, Seize the Future, and Northern Lights Development Corporation. And one of the things that we as a developer have to do in order to be successful in applying for these tax credits is we need to bring in a nonprofit partner into our development. We're a for-profit company. We get extra points with IDA if we have a nonprofit partner. My initial instinct was to work with Keith and just use the Northern Lights Development Corporation as our nonprofit partner. We wouldn't need to use any other nonprofit organization to do that. However, IDA is very specific about the rules that this nonprofit organization has to follow. Even though Northern Lights Development Corporation is an Illinois registered nonprofit corporation, you don't yet have the 501c3 certificate from the federal government. And so IDA doesn't accept it. So I needed to use another nonprofit organization that has a 501c3, and in this case it's Seize the Future Foundation, which is the city's kind of economic development nonprofit. And so the idea is that there are actually two nonprofits in this project, Seize the Future and Northern Lights. And so when Keith was alluding to fee arrangements here, the fees that are coming off of this project are proportionate to the ownership stake that the nonprofit has, and in this case the nonprofit has 25%. So in this case the fees are about $2 million, and so the nonprofit organization will have about $500,000 of fee coming off of it. The question is how much of that fee goes to Seize the Future and how much of it goes to Northern Lights. And in my view, this is something that really needs to get negotiated locally, and it's something that I think is still an ongoing conversation, and it doesn't benefit us or, frankly anybody for me to be in the middle of that conversation. It's really a local negotiation around local needs and local resources, and so we are, and Keith is rightly, I think, raising this as a conditional issue. Until this issue is fully settled, I understand there's a condition on it, and I accept that. A little bit about who we are and what we do. So I spent 13 years working for a large national nonprofit affordable housing developer called the Community Builders. And so I've done a lot of work on the south side of Chicago. If you drive to the corner of 47th Street and Cottage Grove, it used to be a liquor store and kind of a bad, single room occupancy hotel. Now it's 96 units of mixed income housing, a Walmart, neighborhood market, grocery store, restaurants, all kinds of things. And so this was my project when I was there. It took 8 years and it took $46 million, but we pulled it off. And it's today it's a really important neighborhood catalyst. Larry Busateri, one of the partners at Barrow Green, just down the street, 47th Street, on the south side of Chicago. This is the former Rosenwald Apartment project. You used to live there? No kidding. Well, you know what it looks like, and this is actually what it's going to look like because the city and our partners are spending $120 million to bring that development back. And so that is, in 1925, one of the first examples of really social housing in this country before any of the CHA public housing was that project. And so Larry and his partners are bringing that project back. I've done mixed income public housing developments in Louisville, Kentucky, This is senior housing in a small town in Rhode Island. So together, our team, the principals and me as development director, we have more than 100 years of experience doing this kind of stuff. And we love doing it. So our team is not just Vera Green. Our architect is Weiss Langley Weiss, who probably has more experience doing adaptive reuse for affordable housing than any other architect in Chicago. We're also working with Lane Allen of Allen and Peppa Architects, and he's based here in Aurora, and he loves this building. This building has been a passion of his for a long time. So we've asked Lane to join our team kind of as an associate architect. MHA is McCroskey Historic Advisors, and they are one of the national experts on historic preservation, because this building has a lot of historic wrinkles to it. EDI is a minority and women-owned environmental firm and site and civil firm. They're based in Chicago. FLS is our accountants, Applegate and Thorne Thompson are our attorneys. The property will be managed by our sister company, Evergreen Real Estate Services. We manage about 5,000 units of mixed income housing. Probably about 2,000 project-based voucher units are in that 5,000, so we're no novices in this stuff. And then Lynn Mathis, also one of the Chicago experts in doing this kind of development. Still be added construction trades, which we'll talk about in a minute. So you know the site and the location. Here's McCarty Park, this is north, and so it's really just a few blocks from downtown. Why did we pick this site? Well, you know, the building obviously grabbed our eye, but if you look at all of the resources that are available around here, all the resources that are available in downtown Aurora and in the neighborhood, in the surrounding neighborhood here, from the Fred Rogers School to a number of churches, a lot of supermarkets around there, Walgreens down the street. This is a good location for housing because you're really tapping into neighborhood and community resources. This is what this building looks like today, if you've driven by it. You know, the exterior doesn't look terrible. It's got this cool little chapel in the back. If you go inside, the place is haunted. It's a creepy building. You know, it is, it's a very solid building, but it needs a lot of TLC. But even in its creepiness, you can see a lot of the historic potential. These are actual photos that I just took a couple months ago of some of the old spaces in there. Beautiful Art Deco ornament and marble and the terracotta and the statues, and we'll be restoring all of that to pretty close to the way it looked in 1932. So our floor plans here show you a little bit about what we're proposing to do. So as Keith mentioned, it's a 60-unit development. We'll have 5 studio units. We'll have 42, I'll get these numbers right, 42 one-bedroom units and 13 two-bedroom units. And we'll sort of be bringing back the historic character of certain spaces. So the lobby and the entry and the waiting area, definitely part of that. And you'll see the chapel is actually on the 2nd floor down here. I'm not going to go through the unit layouts for you, but they're nice, comfortable units, ranging from the studios that are around 550 square feet up to some of the 2 bedrooms that are more than 1,200 square feet. Laundry rooms on every floor. Again, this is for seniors, so this is for individuals and couples who are 62 and older. The community room down here, this is the old chapel that was attached to the former hospital, and it's a beautiful 2-story space. That will be the community room for the project. So there's our mix. 56 of the 60 units will be income restricted, and incomes will range from about $16,000 a year up to $41,000 a year. We've got 4 that don't have income restrictions on them. I mentioned the bedroom mix. The market rate rents that we're targeting for those unrestricted units are about $700 per studio, $925 for a 1-bedroom, and $1,100 for a 2-bedroom. If you go up to the top floor, this is actually a 7-story building. If you go up to the 7th floor and see the views of the Fox River Valley from there, I think that you'll understand why we think that those units are worth that much. The net rents for the income restricted units will range from about $359 a month for a small studio unit up to about $941 for a larger 2-bedroom, depending on where you are in the income levels. If you're in the project-based program, of course, as you know, you only pay 30% of your income, whatever that is. That's a different model.
This says 56 income restricted, and so what's the difference between the 56 and the 44?
So some of the income restricted units are straight tax credit units. They don't have project-based assistance on them. And we do that because we're trying to maximize every point that we get from IDA. And some of the units, and frankly, we're responding to some requests that we got from the mayor's office here saying, you know, we want to show a true income mix. So some units at the 60% level that are, so the project-based program is really limited to the 50% level. So we're going to the 60% level to help with that. Does that answer your question? So we are requesting from you that you provide these 44 project-based vouchers to assist the development. This will allow 44 seniors, so individuals and couples, depending on the unit size, below 50% of their median to live here and pay 30% of their income in rent. This helps the project raise additional money, which these days IDA is squeezing every dollar out of projects. And so for us to come in and show that we have a way to bring additional resources to the project makes it much more likely that we will succeed in winning these credits. It's very competitive. And the folks from Brinshaw probably already explained this to you. They're very good at that, and you know, they know how to win these credits as well as anybody. So what are we doing here? We're restoring this building for the national requirements, beautiful chapel space, making it a community room. There'll be a management office on site, one parking space per unit there, plus some visitor parking. It'll be a very green building, high efficiency systems, Energy Star appliances, and so on. There'll be a fitness room, a library, some on-site gardens, laundry on every floor, as I mentioned. Here's our budget. It's about a $23.3 million project. It's an expensive building to retrofit for housing. And you can see that the first mortgage there, that $2,890,000 over on the right, a lot of that is driven by my ability to use these project-based vouchers to increase the amount of debt that I'm able to support on the project. There'll also be a significant economic impact to this, and this is one of the things that I began to speak to Keith about working with Northern Lights to help me with. Right now, we're targeting about 20% or so of the subcontracts on this project to be local, minority, and or women-owned subcontractors, whether they're plumbers or electricians or things like that. Northern Lights, we've asked to be our, what we call our community resource partner, so to help connect us with qualified local contractors who would be interested in working on this. Frankly, we hope to exceed that 20% contract. So that project, the 47th and Cottage Grove project that I showed you, we hit almost 40% minority and women, actually it was over 40% minority and women-owned contracts on that. I don't know if I can get all the way there in Aurora, because on the south side of Chicago I have more that I can draw from, but I'd love to get above 20%, and I'd love to have Northern Lights and the Housing Authority help me with that. We're hoping that at least 60 construction jobs, including some new hires from the local community, come off of this. There'll be some permanent jobs at the location for a property manager and a maintenance tech, and we'll be targeting local hiring for all of any new construction jobs that we have here. So Northern Lights will play a key role during the construction process in helping to do that outreach, and then after construction in sort of helping us quantify the impact here to maximize that outreach and connecting qualified workforce to the project opportunities. So our schedule is the application is due in 2 days, and we'll hear back from IDA at the end of June. If we get it, then we will be able to start construction probably late this year or early next year. It'll take about 14 months to build, and by the end of 2017, everything should be leased up. It says retail units. That's a typo. I have to fix that. There's no retail in here. This is all a residential project. You know, this really, I think it's a terrific opportunity. I think it's a terrific building. It's a true income mix. It's a community landmark. We hope to make this an economic development project for the city of Aurora, not just a real estate project, but we need your help. We need your support for this. So hopefully I've answered all of your questions, but I'm happy to take others if you've got.
Keith, what's the length of the commitment on the project-based vouchers?
15 years. Same as with the Brinshaw project.
For the 2 to 3 permanent jobs, will that be through AHA? Like, will there be AHA employees? No.
No, I mean, We'll, I think like David mentioned before, we'll work with them to help identify individuals who may be qualified, but they won't be age employees, they'll be their employees. Is there any other questions?
I think it's exciting, it's a, this beautiful building in Aurora that's wasted away right now, so I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we do too. I wish I could say I knew for certain that we'd get the credits, but,
When will you know?
we'll know in June. And if we don't succeed in June, we have another opportunity to try again in July, so we'll find out in October. So we get 2 bites of the apple this year, which is why we're rushing to get it in now, so that we can, if we don't succeed now, we'll be able to do it later, so.
Hey, David,
Yes.
have you guys looked at buildings or projects in Aurora?
Other projects? Yeah, I actually looked at the Copley Hospital, and for a variety of reasons, it's in much worse shape than this building physically. It's much bigger than this, and so to take it on is a much harder proposition. And this has a lot of location things going for it that Ida really likes. Copley doesn't have a lot of that stuff, so it doesn't score as well. We looked at in my previous job, we looked at the Hobbs building, which is right on Galena and I think it's on Galena and River. Yeah, we actually looked at the former Wabansie Community College building on Stoke Island. So we've looked at a bunch of different properties, and this one was far and away, I think, the best fit for what we do.
Thank you.
Any other?
Only one concern is the neighborhood. I think there's a lot of, disturbance over there, I could say. And seniors being there, that would be my only drawback.
Well, it's a very safe and solid building, and it's got a wrought iron fence around it now. So I guess in my view, the seniors will drive into the parking lot there, and they'll come up to the gate, and the site is enclosed with a fence. So somebody has to try pretty hard to hassle
I'm
somebody
familiar
with
with
it.
that place
Yeah.
and the neighborhood.
I think as we go forward, Chairman, we'll definitely want to include, obviously, as we've done with, I think, with the Brentshaw project too, is really involve the police department in how to ensure that the property stays safe. Because the property sat so long and are still sitting vacant, with the Brentshaw deal, we did have to have those conversations to make sure they didn't get broken into, and some of them, as we know, aren't in always the absolute best neighborhoods. We're trying to stabilize some neighborhoods in that project. So I'd certainly agree that security has to be a concern. As the ladies here have made very clear, and of course we want to do it the right way. So I think it's a concern we need to share as we move this project forward. And voice that very loudly so that it is addressed properly.
I just saw a presentation at Aurora downtown, and the sergeant, I can't remember his name, from Aurora downtown, presented that the downtown area has less crime than literally every other spot in the city, every other room in the city. So, that is like right on the edge, if not included in that downtown area that they talk about. So I'm not sure that it's an unsafe place based on what the sergeant said.
Are there any other questions?
May I have a motion?
1504.
Yes, sir.
A motion to approve 1504.
It's been motion made and second, roll call.
Henry Chapin,
Yes.
Melanie Wimbley,
Yes.
Ray Cruz,
Absolutely.
Scott Boris,
Yes.
Resolution 1504.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
We did have a request to go into executive session following this meeting. We did, and I spoke to Commissioner Voris and Chairman Champion regarding that request. Per the advice of our attorneys, we'll actually break into a smaller advisory group at a later date when everybody can, schedules will allow for it. And then if the advisory group sees fit, we'll bring a presentation to the board regarding the matters. I think it was related to the development company and some other things. So I believe that's acceptable to both of you?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have no new business.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. No?
Second.
Great.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you all. I didn't say anything.